Are we on? Oh, we are on. Look at that. I'm kind of enamored of this room with all these books and, it's thought leadership, and, we've got like 20 old guys, smart guys staring down at us. So we have to be very thoughtful. Before I begin, I'd like to just get a sense of who we've got here. So just by a show of hands, how many people currently are or were or spent most of your career in customer service or customer care, customer support, whatever you want to call it, you're taking care of those customers? That's like a lot of people. And then same question for marketing. Marketing? Okay, we got a few of those. Both? How many people have been in both? Okay, good. I'm going to keep track of you. And then who's got a title that's sort of customer experience or something like that that's intended to cross all this and kind of help the company get integrated and do things like that? All right, well, that's pretty good. So I'm going to talk about customer service and how that becomes a core driver of marketing in this century. And I'm going to start with two predictions. First is, in 10 years, customer service will be primarily delivered through social media and messaging. And primarily, I don't mean like 51%, I mean like 80% or more, not phones. And second, customer service approaches, meaning human, empathetic, conversational, will become core of how big brands market to their customer, which is a big shift. And you may wonder, like, okay, who's this guy who basically runs a social media software and marketing agency kind of company to say all this? And it's we call it a social customer experience company. And the reason I have some background in this is, there we go. I've been doing this for 31 years. And I did this at Apple. I ran Apple's online community around the world. I worked for Steve Jobs, the whole thing. Ask me later. And when I did that, we had a worldwide online community. And number one, it reported into the customer support group. And number two, it was actually started to provide support to dealers around service parts and then customer support. This was the first Fortune 100 company online community, today you call it a social network, ever. And it started in customer support and service. So that's the beginning of the whole industry, and a lot of things came from that. But it didn't start 31 years ago. And if we went to the British Museum, there's this tablet there, which was recently translated, and it's basically a customer complaint about a copper delivery in 1750 Babylonia, BC. And when it's translated, what it actually says is, when you came, you said to me, I will give you fine quality copper ingots, and you left and you didn't do what you promised me. And then he goes on and he says, your ingots were not good. And you basically said, if you want them, take them. If you don't, go away. Take it or leave it. And then he's like, what do you take me for that you treat me with such contempt? Okay, all those people with the customer service, you put your hands up. You ever get a call like that? Okay, yeah, we're nodding there. And then he goes on, do you treat anybody else like this? Nobody else treats me this way. And, take notice, take cognizance. Probably haven't heard that, cognizance. Take notice. I will not accept this anymore. And he ends with, and I shall exercise against you my right of rejection if you do this to me anymore. So 4,000 years ago, in a stone tablet, it's written in stone, the way you treat somebody affects the way they think about you and what they're going to buy and how they're going to buy it. So you can go to the British Museum and read a 4,000-year-old tablet, or you can pay McKinsey a whole bunch of money and they'll tell you the same thing. 70% of customers are going to buy based on this. Not on the product, not on the features, not on the price, not on the location, not on the ad, but how you treat them. So this brings us a new reality. On the one hand, it's 4,000 years old, but something's changed from 1750 BC. These are Facebook's numbers today. Just Facebook, over 900 million people active every day. Over 12 billion messages every day. That's just Facebook. That's not counting Twitter or Instagram or Weibo and all the other ones in China. It's actually quite a bit larger if you factor everybody in. And the difference is, that's a lot of people to write you a little stone tablet, but they're not writing on a stone tablet, right? They're writing on one of these. And not only are they writing on one of these, they're telling everybody else. So it's not just a stone tablet to the merchant over time and privately. It's everybody to everybody, nonstop, every minute. Next thing, that's social networks. Messaging, like Facebook Messenger and the WhatsApp and what they're going to do with Twitter, that's going to be even bigger. And you might say, well, who's this arrogant person that's saying this? Or what about Mark Zuckerberg thinks about somebody saying something's going to be bigger than his social network? Well, that's Mark Zuckerberg who said it. So all these numbers and everything else, just multiply them 4 or 10 times for what's actually going to happen in the next few years. And on the consumer side, 67% of consumers are already using social media to send in service questions, and 33% already say they prefer it to the phone. And I could go on all day with these stats, but whatever I would say, they're understated because none of them take this into account. That millennials are growing up, they grew up with this. 10 years, if you said to any of them, call me on the phone, they'd stare at you cross-eyed and say, next. They're not going to do it. And on the other end of the spectrum, baby boomers who've gotten older, they didn't grow up with social networking, but their careers had personal computers. They've got more time. They're going to adopt social networking to talk to their millennial kids and grandkids, and they are the fastest growing segment. When you bracket that, it gets even bigger. So it also is an opportunity. So this is a cost per inquiry chart that there's some controversy on, but this one over here with the phones is based on when I was at Apple and various current clients. And yours may be higher or lower. This is like a big Fortune 100 company. Is Philippines offshore fully costed per inquiry. This is US consumer facing per inquiry. When you really cost it outright, I think that's a cable company. But it doesn't really matter if your numbers are higher or lower. Just look at this one. And whatever this is, email and chat is 1/4 to half. Messaging will be 3/4 to half of that. If you use a discussion thread in social media or on community, and the reps involved, it's $2 per inquiry. And if the customers support themselves, it's 0. And along the chart, what's happening is each step, the technology is enabling the support agent to do more faster and to handle multiple people at the same time. So from a scale point of view, this lets you scale. And if any of you are like I was when I was back there at Apple, you have a fixed cost structure and the boss is going, I don't care that I got more customers than you supported, do it for less money. So this is how you do it. And then the other thing is, according to American Express, when somebody has a good customer support experience online, they tell 42 people. When they have a bad one, which includes nobody answering them, they tell 53 people. So that's a 95-point word-of-mouth marketing spread from really good to really bad. And on top of that, the study shows when they have a good one, there's a 21% lift in revenue. So what have we got? Big, 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 big numbers, scale cost with it, and customers wanting it more. So that's the opportunity, but then there's a challenge, which is basically, it's all great they want to do it, but they want an answer like now. And real time has gone from a day or two or this afternoon to now. And they'll wait. I mean, they're busy on the text, you know, blah, 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 but like not hours. So how are you going to scale that? And then the other thing is, if we look at traditional marketing and service funnels, here's like marketing, and like we just did ads, and we threw things at the customers and said, here, 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 and you didn't have to worry about them talking back to you. And in service, that was better because there's actually a conversation, but it's a private transactional model. You know, they call me on the phone, nobody else knows, I deal with it, I'm struggling with my costs, but at least I did it, I'm done, I go on to the next one. But in social media world, it looks more like this. And it's all over everywhere. And some people think the challenge is to take this and make it look like that. That's not going to happen. It's going to look like this. So we have to figure out how to deal with it. Any tweet could be a question, service question, or an opportunity for marketing advocacy, from one to the next, or even in the same one. And it comes into the company, and where's it going to go? And is it public? Is it private? It's just going to keep changing in real time, and yet we have these different organizations separately dealing with it. So the way we see it, our big idea, is that you have to take traditional customer service approaches, but out of traditional infrastructure, and apply them to marketing. And that's 3 things. 1, be about your customer experience. 2, organize the experience around the customer, not around the company. And 3, be human, be empathetic, be conversational. Like we're going to be conversational, right? Yeah. So let's look at some examples. We'll go to my alma mater, Apple. And this is like, 5 million people crowded to Grand Central or something getting in line for, the newest Apple gadget here, because they love it. No company in the world has people loving their products like that. Not Samsung, not anybody. You actually, hundreds of millions of people are in love with these little devices. And you want to know, how did they do that? Well, I'll tell you how they did it, because I was there. You start with the customer experience and you work back to the technology. Just like in any company, you should start with the customer experience and work back to how you're going to market to them, support them, or whatever you're going to make for them. And you know who said that? Steve said that. He had a warm heart for customers if they would just understand how great his products were for them. So it's be about the customer experience. This is the first Macintosh. When we introduced it, it actually tried to have a conversation with you. It only went so far then, but it does it now. Next, here's Walmart, client of ours, and help customers save money and live better. Very customer-centric company. And at Christmas time, the Walmart elves will help you even more. And this is a program we created that integrated, at holiday time, product promotion, customer loyalty engagement, and customer service and support, all into one seamless on social media program, so the customer didn't have to figure out where to go or what to do. So here, you're organizing experience around the customers, not the way you're organized or you want to do it. And it worked because we did things like this and got spread around. Here's a mommy blogger, and she's like, Walmart read my blog and tweeted me. I'm sure they tweet lots of people, but they tweeted me. How oddly cool is that? And then she went and told everybody. And if you don't think this affects you versus your competition, look at this one. I am breaking up with Target and coming back to Walmart. Why? Because they were nice to me on Facebook. And we had this again and again and again. The way we treated people said, hey, if this is how you treat me on social media, this is probably how you treat me in store or with the product. And it works that way. So if you treat people well on social media, they're going to think you're going to do that. You have to do it in the store with your product. If you don't, they're going to think you won't. And as another example, a few years ago, another retailer, I won't say who, just in case you're in the audience, had a little bit of an inventory problem between their system online and their system offline, and canceled everybody's online orders on December 23rd. So there you are, and you ordered this thing for your kid, and on December 23rd, it's like, sorry. And so what we did is we said, all right, everybody, start searching Twitter and the internet for anybody complaining about these guys, and when you find them, don't say who they are. Don't say that. Just say, because Walmart wouldn't like that, hey, we know you have a problem. We're the Walmart elves. Maybe we can help you. And we did that. And then this one guy says, I really appreciate it, but you can't help me. And this is where you're empathetic and you're conversational to find out what's going on. And we said, well, what's the problem? I ordered the Star Wars game. That's like the hottest game of the season, and it's sold out for months, and like there's just no way 2 days before Christmas, but like thanks. We said, hold on. And Walmart's super huge systems company. I guarantee you 2 days before Christmas, those systems mean nothing. Piece of inventory could be there, could not be there, could be on the truck. So we start calling every Walmart till we find it. And we found one. And we said, we got it. And he said, he didn't say 10 minutes remaining. He said, great, that's in another state. I can't get there, but I really appreciate it. And then what we did is, so we have like moderators and engagement specialists that work for us that are all over the country. So we put out a note to them and said, anybody live near this Walmart? Puts up their hand, goes and gets it, Federal Expresses to the guy, and social customer service saves Christmas for the little kid. And Walmart has this guy for life, and everybody he knows for life, and the kid for life, and everybody he knows. Just because we went to the effort to talk to him and see what he needed and do it. Now another example, Zoetis. This is the largest animal drug company in the world, $4.3 billion in pills for horses, dogs, and cats and pigs and cows. Cattle dairy, cattle beef, that's different. I won't go into it now. And they had three goals. They just spun out of Pfizer, were going public, they needed to establish a new brand, they wanted to grow engagement, but they particularly wanted to take the premium support experience that their sort of support reps gave to like big ranchers and make everybody feel that way. So we created a whole big social media program for them called EQ Stable. Go see that on Facebook, it's really great. We just did another one called Catisphere for cat owners, because that's different. And it's all about loving horses. It's not about like buy our pills. It's like we all love horses. And what we did is we brought their people forward who love horses. This is Tina, who works at Zoetis. She's on the page all the time. And we were human and equine, empathetic and conversational, talking to horses, but talking to everybody else too. So this becomes a community of people that love horses. And they go, gosh, this company knows what we're all about. Look how they're treating us. They're getting us together on what we can do. And so they start knowing this brand. And there's all kinds of great results, but there's a sense of community. These are all customer pictures. And they got big numbers. 100,000 is pretty good for what they did. That's all they wanted. 29% engagement. A year and a half later, it's still like 15%. Catisphere is 50% engagement. That's unheard of. But and then they wanted to collect names, and it was like a fraction of the cost of search engine marketing. But look at this chart here, where they have 50% neutral, 49% and 1% negative. This is a pharmaceutical company. Their executives jump up and down over that. No pharmaceutical company gets anywhere near that. And why? Because we talked to these people. We were empathetic. We had conversations. We were human and equine. So what do you do to do this? Well, we have all these people in customer service. We've got some people in marketing. You guys have to kind of talk to each other. You got to focus on the customer, not the campaign or the product. You have to take traditional customer service techniques, bring them forward into social media and marketing the entire customer experience. All these things which people are used to in customer service, it's the idea, but in a different infrastructure. You have to do it differently than call centers because this is fluid. So the customer service people can bring that. And don't wait, because your customers aren't waiting. And what we really need is the customer service people to take the way to do this, bring it over to the marketing people who are used to the chaos of social media, and start driving the business from a consumer point of view. And so if you just kind of take those two things together, you can lead your companies and really build a competitive advantage and more revenue. And then we have time for questions over here.
Thank you. Are there any empirical data or evidence backing up that consumer who said she's switching from Target to Walmart? How many people do follow through, and for how long?
Walmart is the largest brand on Facebook in the United States with about 34 million fans. Anybody with more than that, they're coming from someplace else. And we track it a lot. One period we tracked actual resulting purchases linked through to walmart.com and then did some extrapolation on it and that type of thing. So, and what we do is every week we prepare a voice of the customer report based on qualitative analysis of the comments, and that goes to the executive staff at Walmart. So there's quite a bit of tracking that way. It's, and we see it over and over again. It's hard to make a hardline connection because even though social media has been around for a long time, I think so, it's still fairly young, and many people aren't taking the techniques to do the ROI things you could, like surveys before and after. But there and at other companies, we have seen a connection between social media activity and revenue. Macy's put out something that said every dollar in social media produces like $7 in sales within 2 weeks, something like that. And we've had clients who have e-commerce connections to it, and you can see it right there that it's coming through. The loyalty and retention, we know that an average shopper basket is more correlated with the activity and things like that on social media. That's with Walmart and other people. I'm not allowed to say what the numbers are. Loyalty and revenue. Some people will say, well, what's driving what? Is it that somebody who's on social media now goes and buys more, or the person who buys more comes and sees you on social media? But just think about that for a minute. If your best customers are going to the trouble to come talk to you on social media, don't you want to put an awful lot of resource around them, hugging them? Yeah, so it doesn't really matter which starts it, though there's some evidence that you can affect it like you saw there. So that's about as far as we've gone with that, but there's a lot of different surveys that way. Another question? I have to get at least one more question because one of my colleagues said, oh, I have 5 minutes. I need 5 more questions. He said, you won't get any questions. I said, I will too. So, okay, go ahead.
Hi, something that you didn't touch on was more about the reviews of a product, where that seems to be really driving business more now than ever, where someone is not going to purchase something unless they see that consumer peer, what their thoughts are on it. So any analytical information?
So there's a lot of studies now, everybody heard the question, right? A lot of studies now that show the number one influence on purchase is other people had to say and online. And just think about it. You're going to go to a movie, you're going to buy something, anybody in this room, whether it's your corporation or anything else, you want to know what somebody else thought. And this puts that on steroids. So there's like advertising and stuff like that is like way, way, way down. Because they go, I don't care about their ads. I want to know what somebody else in my situation did here. So people, it's a very big driver, and in some cases to the point where if they can't find anything, they go, well, there's no point in buying it. And by the way, you can have bad reviews. People expect that. Nobody thinks you're perfect. They just want to kind of scan through it and see what's going on. And we've done work for a bunch of different travel companies, and it was pretty clear that those reviews were driving bookings. Another question? I have 3 more minutes. Okay, here we go.
Hi, I wonder if you have any thoughts around sort of private blogs and forums. So definitely you show the example of how they were listening and they engaged with someone who posted something on their personal blog, and assuming that that person's a customer, they responded back. But what if your company is already doing a level of social customer service, but struggling with potentially bad reviews that sit on some kind of a commerce or consumer site that you don't regularly monitor? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, well, the first thing to do is to regularly monitor them. That would be the first thing.
Right, but it's...
In the best strategy, what you do, and no, people aren't doing this, but we're getting there because the pendulum swings around. In the best strategy, you have your branded presences, Facebook page, Twitter stream, a community website that you're more directly involved with people, and you connect them. And then you monitor around, and it's not necessarily where you think it would be. You want to monitor where your target customer does things they care about, not just about you. You learn a lot about them by saying, turns out people who buy Lincoln Mercuries like gardening. That's an old statistic. Let's go look at the gardening forum or something like that. And you go around those to see what people are saying, and then the best practice is to have a team who will go in there and point. If they can't participate there, try to point people where they can find things out. You don't want to argue with people. That doesn't work. You're going to have detractors. What you want to do is build up in these various venues people who like you by doing the things I said. And they will emerge and defend you as well. So I think it is important to go around and see that and also understand who they are, because it could be customers, and you care about that. It could be disgruntled customers, and you might have an opportunity to turn them into an advocate. People will care more about how you treat them, right? I proved that. I said that over and over again. They care more about that than the issues. If you treat them well in social media, they'll go, oh, well, everybody has problems. This isn't a bad company. Maybe it's a good company. We've done that. Or it could be somebody who just can't turn around. Or it could be a competitor, or it could be an activist. And you want to respond to each of those in different ways. So you want to understand who it is and then tailor your response to that. We had one client, big giant CPG company, woke up one morning and their corporate headquarters was draped with Greenpeace stuff. If you want to find out if you're going to get attacked by Greenpeace, just go to their website. They actually forecast it. But they didn't forecast this one. And this was like with security and everything. So they were kind of freaked out. So we did a whole program for them where we went out to forums. This is kind of a more intense example, and monitored them where these people show up so we could anticipate around the world where this would happen again and they could be prepared for it. So sometimes you just have to think through how you can use these things to find what you want. That's kind of an extreme example, but it really helped. And I think one more question.
Have you had to deal with privacy yet? Companies that they won't engage with customers on social media because of privacy issues and stuff like that?
Yeah, so privacy is a really interesting question, because companies are trying to do what they should, and there's all these laws, and the EU is going crazy nuts on privacy and data transfer laws right now. We do this in 70 country languages around the world, and it varies. Like how you have to do something with teen girls in France is more restricted than anywhere else in the world. You wouldn't have thought it was France, but it is. So we do deal with that, and we have a lot of pharma clients and financial services clients, so there's compliance and all this stuff and everything. First thing is, when customers are putting stuff out in social media, it's kind of gone public, and you have to kind of understand that. We had one contract that actually said, anytime a user puts any piece of content up, you will encrypt it so nobody can see it. We said, yeah, but they're putting it up so other people can see it. But the lawyers, they were okay once they understood that. The other key thing to understand is, as millennials understand, privacy is gone. It's gone. They don't expect it. In fact, they're going to tell you, why don't you know more about me? So that's the key thing. Privacy's over, give it up, forget about it. But you're right, we do run into that all the time, and there's different levels, and you have to be careful about what you collect. And the key way to do it is to manage what you're collecting and what you're talking about. And if you're going to do something that is they're not putting up publicly, or something they shouldn't be up publicly, you want to move it into a private venue so it's not out there, and then treat it the way you would any other types of information. But it's a constant issue of what you do and how you do it. And I think we're done, so thank you very much, and I'll be around.